crisis, and armed conflict, what must justice demand of the systems and global actors meant to protect that right? Across many contexts, the right to education is not only disrupted, it is deliberately targeted. And when learners lose safety, continuity, or the chance to rebuild their lives, it is not just schooling that is taken from them. It is dignity, protection, and the ability to shape their own future. This is why the Education Above All Foundation anchors its work in a simple belief. Education is a basic right and a pathway to justice and opportunity. Today, we bring that principle into focus and examine what justice demands in the hardest environments and what it means to uphold that right when systems are under the greatest pressure. To frame this critical conversation, we turn to a leader who has championed how education and justice intersect in real terms. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, has consistently called for global responsibility towards learners whose futures hang in the balance. Your Excellency, I am honored to invite you to deliver the opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege for me to join you at this 23rd session of the Doha Forum, an important platform for shaping collective commitment to peace, stability, and human development. I bring you the warmest greetings from the people of the Republic of Ghana, and I extend my profound appreciation to the government and people of Qatar for your hospitality and continued leadership in convening this global dialogue at the highest level. I also thank you for the privilege to set the tone for this all-important discussion. In Ghana, the principle that education is a fundamental instrument of justice is firmly rooted in our national constitution in Article 25 of the 1992 Constitution, and it provides that, and I quote, "All persons shall have the right to equal educational opportunities and facilities. With a view to achieving the full realization of that right, basic education shall be free, compulsory, and available to all." This foundational article captures the soul of our national commitment that education is not a privilege, nor is it an afterthought of government policy, but an inherent right, a necessary condition for the dignity, empowerment, and full realization of every citizen. This constitutional declaration reflects a universal truth that education is the purest expression of justice, especially in times of crisis. Our meeting here today is taking place in a world that is confronted with multiple overlapping crises, conflict, economic shocks, climate instability, pandemics, and growing social and economic inequalities. These crises do not only disrupt economies, they disrupt childhoods. They do not only destroy infrastructure, they destroy the dreams of our children. In such times, education must become the battleground for justice. Education is justice when it ensures that a child uprooted by conflict does not lose her dreams or her future. Education is justice when a child living with disability receives targeted support in order to thrive. Education is justice when learning continues despite pandemics, economic hardship, or climate disasters. Education is justice when young people are equipped to rebuild their communities and lead global transformation. In every crisis, education stands as the first line of protection, the most reliable social stabilizer, and the foundation on which long-term recovery can be built. And this is why education in emergencies must be seen as life-saving and not optional. I commend the organizers of the Doha Forum for the presentation of this year's awards to Alex Thier and Saad Mohseni for the work they are doing in closing educational learning gaps in two societies that are undergoing some of the worst crises known in recent history. Even in normal times, policymakers are always examining how to reform education to make it universally available and relevant in the context of a rapidly changing world. This demand is even more urgent in societies that are affected by war and dislocation. The disruption of education affecting a current generation of children in Gaza, in Afghanistan, Sudan, and elsewhere is an unfolding humanitarian tragedy that will play out for decades to come. Ghana's own journey demonstrates that the most resilient nations are those that prioritize education even in the most challenging moments. And so over the past decades, we in Ghana have pursued bold reforms to expand opportunity, strengthen justice through education. For example, our free basic secondary education have enabled millions of Ghanaian youth to access education regardless of their family income. Investments in TVET and digital literacy, strengthening early childhood and basic education. A period when this world innovated for educational justice was during COVID-19. Schools were closed across the world and countries. Various countries had to innovate and implemented some of the most adaptive education in emergency times. Nationwide radio and TV learning programs were launched. Digital platforms for remote learning were deployed. Community-based teaching and tutoring were provided, and teachers were supported to innovate new methods to keep learning alive. These measures were expression of justice, ensuring that no child was abandoned in a moment of global crisis. The global experience during the COVID pandemic demonstrates that education systems can be built with resilience at their core. When crisis hits, classrooms should not be the first to close and the last to reopen. They must remain anchors of hope, stability, and protection. The conversation of education as justice in times of crisis is relevant to Africa, where 30 million children remain out of school. Millions more are in school but not learning. Climate-related emergencies are displacing communities and shutting down schools. Digital divides are widening socioeconomic gaps. Education is not the only focus of SDG 4, quality education, but also the enabler of all the other sustainable goals. Because without education, we cannot end poverty, which is SDG 1. Without education, we cannot achieve good health and well-being, which is SDG 3. Without education, we cannot attain gender equality, which is SDG 5. Without education, we cannot build decent work and economic growth, which is SDG 8. Without education, we cannot strengthen climate adaptation, which is SDG 13. And without education, we cannot secure peace, justice, and strong institutions, which is SDG 16. Education illuminates the path to every other goal. It empowers individuals, it strengthens institutions, it transforms nations. If we want a just, peaceful, and prosperous world, we must start by ensuring just, equitable, and resilient education systems. The theme of this forum reminds us that justice is not confined to domestic laws. It is a global concern. Education is a global public good, and when children in one region are denied the opportunity to learn due to conflict or poverty, the entire world loses talent, innovation, and potential. And therefore, if education is to serve as justice in times of crisis, the global community must commit to the following. First, protecting education budgets in times of crisis. Economic austerity should not begin in the classroom. Integrating education into humanitarian response plans. Ensuring safety of schools and the learning environment. Accelerating digital inclusion. Investing in digital infrastructure, devices, and teacher training. Supporting teachers as agents of stability, and strengthening global partnerships. Our world is changing fast. Our thinking about education must evolve just as rapidly. Education today must prepare young people to adapt to climate shocks, navigate digital disruptions, participate in democracy and governance, contribute to peaceful societies, and compete in a global economy that is increasingly driven by technology and innovation. Education must be transformational, not transactional. It must be equitable, not exclusive. It must be forward-looking and not outdated. This is the justice we owe our children. Justice is not only delivered in the courtrooms, justice lives in the classrooms. It is found in the moment a child learns to read, in the moment a young woman discovers her talent for science, in the moment a displaced child finds safety and hope in a school, in the moment a teacher inspires courage in a new generation. If we're to create a more peaceful, equitable, and resilient world, then education must be our most significant investment and our boldest commitment. This resonates with the saying that knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. Let us cultivate the seeds of justice through education, especially in times of crisis, so that the harvest may be peace, prosperity, and a shared humanity. I thank you for your attention.